What is up, guys? My name is Lex. We're still here in Las Vegas for the World Series of Poker, and ever since I started playing 1-2 No Limit 4 years ago, I've always been motivated to play higher and higher stakes, and as my bankroll and experience has grown, I've taken shots at bigger games, but with bigger games comes better competition and tougher players. But today, I'm ready to battle. I'm going to be playing one of the biggest games going on right now in the city. It's 10-20 with a $20 big blind ante, which usually has a $40 straddle under the gun. I'm willing to risk over $10,000 in this game. Let's hope to run good. Let's get started. We're starting off this game short-handed, and the first hand I get dealt in is black pocket aces, ace of spades, ace of clubs. I raised to $60, and now the small blind with only around $2,400 in a stack. 3-bets me to $240. Now I think a 4-bet is the best play here a lot of the time, but my opponent is short-stacked. We're only playing 4-handed. I don't want to 4-bet and have him fold out hands that I'm crushing, so I go with a trap line here pre-flop and just make the call, so we're heads up to our first flop here at the Bellagio, playing 10-20 no limit. The board comes out 10-8-9, 2 hearts, and my opponent decides to check. Him checking on this board really doesn't surprise me at all. It's super wet and connected with middling cards. I could be smashing this flop with 2 pairs, sets, and straights. I think he could be doing this with some overpairs as well, so I throw out $320, and now the action's back over on the small blind. With around $2,000 in a stack, he decides to check raise to $900. This really doesn't make too much sense, just because this board favors my range way more than his 3-bet range. Out of the small blind, I don't have the ace of hearts in my hand, so he can easily have the nut flush draw. He could have a combo straight and flush draw as well, along with a pair and flush draw. So with only around $1,100 left in a stack with pocket aces, I'm all in. I put him all in, and he snap calls almost $5,000 in the middle. Our very first hand we play, we decide to run out the board one time, and the turn is the 4 of hearts, bringing in the flush. The river is the 6, and he shows king jack of hearts for a turned flush, and aces are officially cracked. It's hard to not be results oriented in poker. However, I'm fine with my play, slow playing pre-flop. Sometimes it works out. We had him crushed pre-flop, but if we would have 4-bet, I'm pretty sure he would have called and the result would have been the same thing. However, if the flop would have came out king or jack high, we probably could have stacked him. This time he gets lucky and gets the full double up. I reach into my bag, buying for another $5,000. In the next hand, there's an action player who sits down with around $5,000 and raises the button to $80. Small blind calls. I call with queen 10 offsuit in the big blind. We flop top pair on 10-9 deuce, 2 diamonds. I check and the button puts out $160. With top pair, I make the call and the small blind folds heads up to the 5 of clubs on the turn. I check and he continues for $260. I make the call again. The river card is the 5 of diamonds, pairing the board and bringing in that front door flush. I check for a third time, and my opponent throws out $700 here, a big bet. We could be getting coolered by a better 10, a flush, a full house, or an overpair. However, with top pair against this particular player, I flick in the chips for a call, and he shows 6 deuce offsuit for bottom pair. We show the 10, and we are good, and just like that, we catch a punt. It gets us closer back to even, only down about $1,100 so far now. A new player now sits down on the button who seems to be playing a lot of hands and raises to 60. I have jack 8 of clubs and raised to 240. He makes the call, heads up to queen 6-4, 2 diamonds. We completely miss, so I decide to check over to him, and he checks this one back. The turn card gives us a pair. It's the jack of diamonds, but it does bring in the front door flush. I think I should have the best hand here a lot of the time. I would expect this aggressive player to be betting his 2 pairs, his top pairs, and his flush draws of the flop, so I throw out $200, and now things get a little funky. The button decides to raise to $700. This raise on the turn doesn't really make much sense to me at all. I would expect an aggressive player to bet his hands on the turn once I check to him, and when he raises me here when the flush gets here, he's saying he has a flush. Now, of course, we could be beat here some of the time, but a lot of the time I feel like he could be bluffing. He could have hands like ace of diamonds or king of diamonds for a big flush draw. He could have 9-10 or king 10 for a straight draw as well. I don't want to give up just yet. I feel like we have the best hand, His line doesn't make too much sense, so I decide to make the call. My plan here is to call down on every non-diamond or overcard to our pair, which is exactly what we get. The river card's the 5 of hearts. I stick with the plan and check over to him, and he throws out $1,200. Now immediately I feel like he is bluffing. This line doesn't make too much sense. He's representing such a strong hand. He's definitely capable of putting in some big bluffs here on the river. He knows I'm filming for the vlog. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. I flick in the chips.
I have Jack 8.
You're bluffing, no?
I was bluffing.
I know.
Nice time.
I make the hero call with a second pair and get shown second pair, slightly better kicker with Jack 10. This is just a ridiculous hand. My opponent was bluffing, so my read was correct, but unfortunately, he was bluffing with a slightly better hand. I would expect him to check back all of his Jack X holdings here on the river, so I'm kind of surprised he turned that hand into a bluff. I've been playing poker for years, thousands and thousands of hours, and a lot of the time I just go with my gut. Sometimes I make ridiculously light call downs on the river and I'm correct and win big pots, and sometimes I make very light call downs and I'm wrong and look like a complete idiot. Unfortunately, this was one of those times where we make the wrong call. We're now down over $4,500. The table is now full of players and we decide to add on the $40 straddle under the gun. The game has been bumped. We're playing 10, 20, 20, 40. I add on to my stack. I'm in the game for $11,000, sitting with about $7,000 in front. And this hand, the small blind makes it 160. The big blind, who just value bluffed us, makes a call, and I call in the straddle with Jack 10 offsuit. The flop is 10 high, 2 hearts. It checks to the big blind, who bets 260. I make the call with my top pair, decent kicker. Turn card's a deuce pairing the board, and now the big blind checks. I think I can go back and forth here betting or checking, and this time I decide to pot control and check behind. The river card's a 3. All the draws miss, and the big blind leads out for $400. No way I'm folding here. I make the call, and he shows pocket jacks for a slow played big overpair, and we get slightly cooler in this hand. When you're taking a shot at a bigger game than you're normally playing, you just hope you can run good, and today we are not running good. We get slightly cooler there, top pair versus a slow played overpair. We hero call incorrectly and lose over $1,000. In the first hand we played, we got our aces cracked for almost a $5,000 pot. The new player on my right is giving me a ton of action, which I appreciate, but we just cannot beat him yet. In this hand, he makes it 120 in the big blind. I 3-bet ace queen offsuit to 360. He makes the call, so we're going heads up in a 3-bet pot. The flop comes out 8, 3, deuce, 2 diamonds. We completely miss, but ace high should be good here a lot of the time. I throw out $300, same sizing I would use here with overpairs, and he makes the call. Turn card jack of diamonds. Now we have 2 overcards and the queen high flush draw. He checks and I decide to check back, which I think is a mistake. I think I should be betting big here on the turn, going to the river, which pairs the board. Given the fact that I didn't bet the turn, if I bet here on the river it wouldn't make too much sense. I think he's going to call me with all of his pairs, so I check back and we lose to 7-8 offsuit. My nemesis. Playing another hand with my buddy here on the right. He raises the big blind to 120. I have king 9 offsuit in the under the gun straddle and make the call. We flop top pair. He bets. I call. Turn card pairs the board. He bets again. I make the call again. The river goes check check, and we finally beat our nemesis on our right. I got him one time.
I told you have it.
I got him.
I told you.
We do win a small pot from our friend on the right, which gets us a little bit closer back to even, but we're still getting crushed on the session, down almost $5,000, leading in to one of the craziest hands I've ever played in my entire life. I get dealt in 8 of clubs, 6 of clubs in the cutoff. I raise to $120, and a tighter professional player in the straddle makes the call, so we're heads up to king 3 deuce 2 clubs, giving us the 8 high flush draw. When he checks, I throw out $260, and instead of calling, my opponent puts in a raise. He makes it $720. When he raises here to $720, I start to think of what kind of hands could under the gun be check raising on this board. Because he didn't re-raise pre-flop, I can discount him from having hands like ace-king, pocket aces, and pocket kings. Because I have all those strong hands, I really don't see him check raising a single pair king versus my pot size bet on the flop. I think his range is going to consist of two pairs like king 3, king deuce, and sets like pocket 3s and pocket deuces. He can also have some semi-bluffs like the nut flush draw, maybe a hand like ace-4 of clubs or ace-5 of clubs, possibly the queen-high flush draw as well, maybe 4 or 5 of clubs for an open-ended flush draw too. For this price, I make the call, turn 8 of hearts, now giving me a pair, and under the gun continues with his aggression for a $920 bet. This is escalating into a big pot pretty quickly. I have around $6,500 left in my stack. There are some reverse implied odds in this situation. Although I picked up a pair, if my opponent has a set or two pair, my trips or two pair draws might not be good. However, with this pair, I'm now ahead of his semi-bluff flush draws like ace-4 or ace-5 of clubs. With all that being said, I want to see a river here, so I put in $920 over $3,500 in the middle now. Going to the river, which is the 5 of clubs. We make a flush, finally a big hand in a big pot. I'm expecting under the gun to be checking a fair amount of the time because this river card changes a lot of things, and I'm thinking what kind of bet size I want to use until I hear two words from my opponent, all in. And wow, I was not expecting that. My opponent just went all in for my remaining $5,500. It's a 1.5x overbet jam on this river. Now on paper, this may seem like a great spot, but technically, given this action, our hand is now actually a bluff catcher. This opponent would never be shoving two pairs or sets for this sizing when the obvious flush draw comes in here on the river. When he shoves all in for over $5,000 into a $3,500 pot, he's representing hands like the ace-high flush or the queen-high flush or a big bluff. The problem with this situation is that he really doesn't have any bluffs. All of his semi-bluffing hands on the flop that he check raised now made a flush here on the river. If he is bluffing, I would expect him to have the ace of clubs in his hand to block the nut flush. The only hands that I can think of that have the naked ace of clubs would be hands like ace-4 offsuit or ace-5 offsuit with the ace of clubs. That feels pretty ambitious as well. I then start thinking to myself, I've only played with this opponent for about an hour, but I do remember watching a hand where he flopped bottom two pair. He check called a flop bet, check called a turn bet, and then just check called a river bet with bottom two pair. So to think that he's just blasting off for over $5,000+ with a bluff after playing so passively before is quite ambitious as well. I'm in the tank now for a while, upwards of 3 minutes, trying to think of what I want to do. I'm currently in the game for over $11,000, and I'm already down over $5,000. If I make this call and I'm correct, my stack will be up over $12,000, but if I'm wrong, I will have lost over $11,000 in just a couple hours of play. I really have no idea what to do. If we look out in the big picture, I have a flush. I feel like I just have to call. If he's got me beat, he's got me beat. However, I just don't think he's ever bluffing here. There's only one flush that we're beating, and that's specifically a hand like 7-4 of clubs. Every other flush that he has that may have played aggressively now beats us. If I don't think he's jamming two pairs or sets, and he only has about one or two combos of bluffs in his range, I feel like we're just beat here. So after thinking for over 4 minutes, I make the fold. While I'm sliding in my cards, I ask my opponent to show his hand for my YouTube channel, and he tells me no, which makes me feel like he's not bluffing. If he was bluffing here with a crazy hand for over $5,000, he'd probably want to show it for the video, but he folds. We will never know, but now I'm stuck over $6,000. Called it quits. After that hand, called it quits. No more 10, 20, 40 for me today. Game was tough. A lot of good players. I was one of the worst players at the table. I was losing money. Down a lot of money. Didn't feel like I could make the right decisions anymore. My mindset was not in it. I folded a flush for $5,000 in the river, and it may be the worst fold of my life. I don't know. Maybe it was the best fold of my life. I have no idea. I went with my gut. I felt like he wouldn't be jamming hands that I was beating, and he has 0 bluffs there. So I don't know. Poker's rough, man. Sometimes poker is pretty gross. I don't know. I realize that this video, along with a lot of other videos that I posted in the past, is going to be met with a lot of criticism. I know people love to come out and talk shit and be haters, and those haters seem to disappear when I'm running well and I'm winning, but they always crawl out of their little holes when I'm losing, and I feel like this video is definitely gonna have some hater comments, and I'm okay with that. I'm trying to show you guys what it's like to be a poker player and to grind up through the stakes. I started at 1-2 in 2018, like 4 years ago. And my main goal from way back then was to try to be one of the best poker players, try to play some of the bigger games in my area and in the country. And in order to do that, I got to push myself and play bigger games. So I'm playing in a game today that is too big for me, that is full of really good players, all in order to try to learn and try to get better and push myself. In wrestling, I constantly pushed myself. In CrossFit, constantly pushing myself to try to get better. And that's what I'm trying to do in poker as well. Nothing wrong with grinding 2-5 every day for a living. I'm sure I could make a mediocre living grinding 2-5 poker every day, and I wouldn't be stressed at all. You know, my swings would be very minimal. The games would be easy. There's basically no stress in 2-5 no limit, but that's not what I want. I want to try to push myself. I want to try to get better. I want to try to be one of the best. I want to try to play some of the biggest games. I want to have a lot of money, and in order to do that, I gotta play bigger games and I gotta push myself, and sometimes you make the wrong decisions, you know? I don't know. It's my money. I'm okay with a fold, but it just sucks overall. I think there's a couple takeaways from this game. One is I need to game select a little bit better. I came here on an early Wednesday morning. Game was just not that good. I think if I play these 10, 20, 40 games, I need to be playing like Saturday night when all the recreationals and drunks are there. Wednesday at freaking 1 p.m. is just not the time. I should be taking a shot at a bigger game. The second takeaway is that I'm still playing too big. I am still being affected by losing not even a buy-in in the game. It still affects me mentally, and I think that that's not how you want to play poker. I kind of ride the line between bankroll management and pushing myself, and I feel like, you know, lately I've been kind of riding it too close to red line, playing too big of games according to my bankroll, so that the money on the table, like during that hand, like I should never think about the money. I should think about the decision. I should think about what hands does he have that I'm beating, what bluffs does he have. I should never think about, oh my god, if I call and I'm wrong, I'm going to be down $11,000. That should never come into my mind, but it did. And that means I'm playing too big of a game, and I recognize that. And I also know that I'm trying to push myself, make good content, and play big games. So I don't know. I'm just rambling on now, but I don't know. Poker's tough. Poker is a tough freaking game, man. It's even tougher when you do it for a living, and I would say it's the toughest when you post your results for people to critique, you know? I don't know. It's kind of rough sometimes. Sometimes it makes me want to just have a regular, normal, easy, stress-free job, and then other times I'm like, man, this is the best job I've ever had. I travel, I do what I want, no boss, so, you know, pluses and minuses. But I'm not going to quit, not going to give up. The goal is still to play higher stakes. Might take me longer, might take some punches, and I might fall down, but, you know, I don't want to quit. I want to keep pushing myself. Today didn't go my way, but, you know, other days will, hopefully.
Let's go poker.
Yeah, I'm doing my outro right
Bro,
now. What's up?
what's up?
What's your name?
Son.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You're in the outro. Hell yeah, how you doing?
Great.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Alright, come on. I'm out. I'm tired. I'll see you later.
Alright, yeah. I love your videos, man. Great job.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Alright, so I wasn't expecting to see you guys again, but it is 4 a.m. Last time we talked, it was 4 p.m. and I had just lost over $6,000. So I went home, took a nap, ate some food, went to the store, relaxed. Around 9 p.m. I went to King's Lounge and played a 5, 10, 20 game, won about $2,100 there, then came back over here to Bellagio to play 5, 10, and ended up winning over $4,000 here tonight at the Bellagio. So early on today, lost $6,200, then at King's Lounge, won $2,000, and then right now, won over $4,000, so that puts us at a profit on the day of a little over 100 or 200 bucks. One of the sickest, swingiest days. Can't believe it, super lucky. I will take it. Swings of poker, baby. The swings of poker. But this time it's for real. This is the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Vegas at 4 in the morning. A lot of degens out here, and me just dead tired. Gonna get some sleep. Subscribe for more videos, guys. Comment down below. Until next time, I'll see ya.